Hello, everyone. My name is Erica Aras. This is my reflection video about my experience during the semester and in this program. I am in the mental health counseling program. This is my second semester in the program. I've had great experiences so far, and I'm really excited to continue to learn and grow throughout this program. For my reflection, my first talking point is about my strengths. I would say that, I've been told, and I believe it, that one of my strengths is that I am an empathetic and compassionate person. I think this has been the main driving force that has pushed me to pursue this profession. In the counseling field, it's super important that we try our best to understand others and their situations by putting ourselves in their shoes. Like, it's one thing to say, like, "Oh, I understand. That must be difficult." But, like, it's another to truly put yourself in their shoes and try to understand their feelings and their perspectives. However, I do think it's important when considering being a multicultural counselor that we understand our personal views, privileges, and experiences might not allow us to fully feel what someone else may feel in their experiences. Um, I would also consider organization to be one of my greatest strengths. My planners are my best friends. I plan out everything in my planners. This is how I manage to stay on top of my work, like my work deliverables and my school assignments. With that being said, I definitely have areas of growth. Some of those are setting boundaries. I have a hard time saying no at work. Um, and all of the tasks can become overwhelming very quickly. But I will discuss that a little more when I get to part D. But another additional area of growth is that I need to slow down. I tend to act quickly. And I think this comes from my experiences as a teacher. Uh, in the classroom, things don't always go according to plan. And decisions have to be made quickly, especially when you have 30 to 40 students staring at you like, what do we do now? Um, and I've learned that not having a plan and not acting quickly is when problems start happening. So, um, but thinking about how that translates to counseling, I think it's important when considering being an ethical counselor that we have to take a step back and evaluate the whole situation. Um, this is one reason I found the ethical decision making model extremely helpful because provides like a structure that I can follow to slow down and think about the whole picture. The second talking point is B, professional warning signs of burnout or compassion fatigue. So, in complete transparency, this academic year has been hard and nonstop. I teach in an underserved community in Third Ward, Houston. Many of my students experience a lot of trauma, especially this year being impacted by COVID-19. Many of my students lost loved ones. It really hit the community. So it's been really hard to transition and help them. Additionally, in I think it was February, March, we got hit by Winter Storm Uri, and that also really impacted a lot of my students, damaging their homes, frozen pipes that busted. And this is coming off the heels of Hurricane Harvey. Although that happened in 2017, many of our families are still, trying to rebuild and get back to normal from that. That happened actually, that was my first year at this school. So my fifth graders are now eighth graders. So, they've experienced a lot in their middle school career. And it's really hard to want to help, but only being able to do so much, especially in this virtual space. And, I'm going to be a little more vulnerable and share some personal information. About 7 weeks ago, my grandpa had two strokes actually. And it's completely shifted my family's lives. I flew home about 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, to help support my mom and take care of my grandpa, who needs round the clock care. He got out of a rehab facility this past Thursday. So it's been an adjustment for all of us. And I have definitely felt my stress levels rise, but I am aware of my signs of burnout. And some of those are procrastination and lack of motivation, like putting off assignments or my lesson planning or my grading. Just saying, like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow or I'll do it later, I'll do it during my planning period. And that's just not in my nature. I tend to do things, pretty structurally. The second thing is like I become pretty agitated easily or frustrated, like even with minor things like spilling a cup of water. I'm like, oh, why did I do that? Um, the last thing is developing like sleeping problems, even though I might be exhausted and ready for bed at 6 o'clock, not being able to fall asleep till like 2 a.m. Um, so to help avoid this, I do some self-care. So that's talking point C. Some strategies that I like to do, or some things I like to do, are exercising. Um, I'd schedule that into my day, whether it's in the morning or the afternoon, just depending on meetings and stuff. I do my best to work out 5 times a week. I really enjoy strength training. It just, makes me feel good, improves my mood, especially considering like I'm on the computer teaching virtually all day. I usually get on around 7, 7:30, depending on if I have a meeting, and then I kind of have classes all day until about 4:30 when meetings end. And then taking 3 courses, I had class 6 to 9 in Houston time. So that movement is just really helpful to avoid, getting tired and joint pain that comes associated with that. Another thing I like to do is meditation. Sometimes, like, I'll do a longer 5 to 10 minute meditation, but even doing just like a quick 1 minute, breathing exercise, like, really helps just bring down stress levels throughout the day. Something else I try to do is like set a cutoff time saying, like, okay, after 7 o'clock, I'm not going to touch any more work or I'm not going to do any more homework. And I'm going to do something I enjoy, like watch a TV show or go out to dinner. Well, I haven't really been able to do that this year, but, um, get takeout or whatever, just to like take my mind off of all my tasks that I have to do. And then something I started doing, um, once I moved like August, was setting up a workspace. Working from home, like, your work is everywhere. So having like a designated area where I can go to work and do my homework and I can leave work at work, has been really helpful. And just kind of being, like, in my social network as much as possible, spending time with loved ones. Working online can be very isolating. So, um, it's really important to connect where you can. Being in Houston and all my family in El Paso, it has been a little difficult, but I've done my best to stay as connected as possible. Um, and then moving to evaluating how I've balanced self care and my commitments this semester. So, part D. Um, I've probably done better. There are definitely ways I can improve. One of those is that work life balance. I do have a very demanding job, and especially navigating this virtual teaching, it has been a challenge. But this is something I am constantly working on. It's still hard to say no, but I've gotten better at like setting boundaries and saying, okay, I can't take that on right now, or I don't mind helping you with that, but can you take something off my plate instead? So that's been helpful. But as an educator, it's very hard to say no, and there's this pressure of to do it for the kids. But I need to realize, like, in order to be my best for my kids, I have to be at my best. My former principal, she was fantastic, and she used to say, self care is not selfish, and I need to do better at keeping this in mind. Another thing I would like to do is do better at asking others for help. This has kind of been a struggle in my leadership role. So I teach, but I'm also a content chair. So that means I'm responsible for other people's deliverables and all of that. And they come to me when they need help. But I've gotten better at delegating tasks, and that's something I am working on. And another thing that I feel is going to be very helpful is moving home to El Paso. I'll be around my support system. And so I think that will help out a lot. And then something else I want to commit to doing is continuing with my established self care routines and not avoiding them because I don't have time, like not skipping a workout or saying, oh, I need to work late today, like sticking to that cutoff time. So, those are some things I'm working on and hope to continue to do in the future. So, moving to talking point E, what I've taken or learned from this course. One major takeaway is the ethical decision making model that Wolfel has put in his book on page 31. This has really helped me in this course, and I believe that it's going to continue to help me when making decisions as a counselor. I also didn't realize how much goes into like one decision. Something else that's really stuck with me is like the weight of our decisions. Um, as counselors, we're going to have to make like tough decisions and tough calls, and it's so important to evaluate the whole situation before making a decision. I've also found the code of ethics very helpful. I know I'm going to continue to use that throughout my career. And lastly, um, is the emphasis on burnout and compassion fatigue, both from the text and Dr. Bazil. This is also like supported and rooted from the ACA Code of Ethics. I believe it was code, I actually have it here, code 5 point, I mean, F.5b, that we should monitor ourselves for signs of impairment from their own physical, mental, or emotional problems and refrain from offering and providing professional services when such impairment is likely to harm a client or others. I think that's extremely important. I think it kind of goes back to that, um, what I said earlier about like I can't help my students if I'm not at my best. And I think that translates into the counseling field. I can't help my clients if I can't make sound decisions and be my best for them. So knowing burnout signs, knowing our stress levels, it's going to be extremely important in our careers as counselors. And then lastly, part F, we our revised counselor identity statement. So at the beginning of the semester, we wrote a paper about our professional identity, and I wrote, as a mental health counselor student, I'm developing my own counselor identity. I want to do what is best for all of my clients, and I believe all decisions regarding my clients is rooted in ethical decisions. I still believe this is accurate, but I think I know I have a better understanding of what it means um, to make an ethical decision because now I understand how to make an ethical decision. I didn't have a clear understanding of what that meant before. And I also want to add that not only is it important to do what's best for clients, but it's also important um, to not to avoid harm to clients. So I know I still have a lot to learn in developing my professional identity, and I know it's still growing, but I do believe I've learned so much this semester and in this course. And I just want to thank you all for a really great semester and enjoyed working and learning with all of you. And I hope to see y'all in our future classes.